On paper, some of these talented souls look destined for greatness after certain company moves or character shifts, whereas others were consistently classed as over the hill, poor workers, or just another disrespectful celeb trying to lazily make some money off the business at one point or another. For better or worse though, this bunch of wrestling figures all prove their doubters or supporters entirely wrong further down the road. Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestlers you were totally wrong about. Number 10, Miro. Rather than doubling down on the undoubted popularity Rusev experienced from 2017 to 2018, WWE largely kept the potential main event star away from the top of the card, and eventually dumped him into a silly love triangle storyline instead. And that worked out perfectly. So when the performer eventually known as Miro ultimately made his way over to the land of All Elite in September 2020, after being released by WWE earlier that year, those who cried out to see the big man get an opportunity to show what he was truly capable of were understandably salivating. And while his initial best man persona didn't exactly get him off to the best of AEW starts, his eventual stint as the dominant TNT Championship holding Redeemer looked to be setting the bulldozer up for bigger things in the future. Said bigger things didn't actually come to pass, however. Instead, Miro has largely gone missing since losing his belt in September 2021. And with the absent star only wrestling 4 times in 2022, along with it recently being said that he turned down an idea that would have led to a Full Gear match last year, those who thought Miro was finally going to get a shot at main event superstardom as part of the All Elite roster are likely feeling a touch underwhelmed at this current moment. Number 9, Carlito. A debuting Carlito swiftly bested John Cena for the United States Championship in 2004, with a little help from the face that runs the place's steel chain. In a case of perhaps peaking a little too soon though, those who justifiably assumed WWE would eventually throw everything behind the clearly charismatic apple-spitting villain were proven wrong, as the cool figure never really topped that initial spell in the spotlight. Despite picking up the odd Intercontinental and World Tag Team Championship, Carlito never fully delivered on the main event potential he showed flickers of in his battles with Cena and interactions with the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rowdy Roddy Piper on the grandest stage. Instead, Carlito was often branded as lazy and too nonchalant by folks backstage, and a wrestler that could have been a top-level star of tomorrow ultimately ended up leaving the company in 2010. Although his virtual crowd-popping Royal Rumble 2021 return did at least offer a glimpse of what could have been had Carlito grown into the main event caliber presence he once threatened to be. Number 8, Nikki Cross. For a time, the mass superhero persona actually managed to somehow catapult the star formerly known as Nikki Cross to a Money in the Bank and Raw Women's Championship win, with that admittedly surreal summer of 2021 sitting as the most successful period of the one-time NXT performer's main roster career by far. Before long though, the blue and yellow gimmick lost much of the super steam it had picked up early on, and Nikki ASH soon became little more than another 24/7 title jobber depressingly sprinting around arenas. And it was at this point when some fans began trying to will the more unhinged Nikki Cross persona that once made her a black and gold hit back into existence. Far from being the beginning of a long-awaited return to form for Cross, however, that eventual reverting back to the character associated with all things sanity last year arguably made less of an impact than her previous super switch-up. Hopefully Nikki's return to her crazy ways lead to something more compelling than getting battered by the majority of the division and stalking Candice LeRae backstage. Number 7, Logan Paul. It turns out that Logan Paul is far better at this pro wrestling stuff than anyone could have possibly imagined. On the back of countless annoying celebrity guests stopping by to lend their star power to the WWE machine, only to make a mockery of fan favorite performers or the business in general, the sight of the easily detestable YouTuber strutting down the ramp back on the road to WrestleMania 37 led to many a justifiable eye roll. Fast forward a year though, and not only had Paul raised the celeb bar recently set by the impressive Bad Bunny and Pat McAfee, but he'd actually more than proven that he could have a rather successful future as a consistent part of the main roster. Who'd have thunk it, eh? Those first 2 decent showings alongside and versus The Miz were already enough evidence to highlight just how wrong many were about Logan's commitment to the role of part-time attraction and ability to actually go in between the ropes. His main event battle against Roman Reigns and subsequent jaw-dropping Royal Rumble display though, they have left a frankly absurd amount of egg on the impulsive one's many doubters' astounded faces, myself included. Number 6, Samoa Joe. When it became known that the absolute wrestling legend that is Samoa Joe was officially walking through Tony Khan's All Elite doors, it's safe to say some mixed feelings were present in those waiting for his incoming debut. While the Samoan submission machine undoubtedly sat as a talented soul who could offer a great deal behind the scenes, many felt that Joe's best days in the squared circle were definitely behind him, and those assumptions were seemingly proven right for a spell, with Joe noticeably not exactly hanging with much of the All Elite roster and feeling like a bit of an afterthought despite reigning as the Ring of Honor television champion. A rather dull pairing with Wardlow soon followed as the mid-card champs fought off Jay Lethal and his goons. And the sight of Joe eventually picking up the TNT strap felt like another step in the wrong direction for all involved. This unexpected shift soon set the stage for something of a revival for Joe, however, with the king of television soon rediscovering his menacing edge in violent brawls with Darby Allin. The guy absolutely murdered him, didn't he? His incoming rematch with Wardlow on the back of mercilessly chopping off the deeply personal locks of his one-time partner now feels like one of the hottest blow-offs of the year. And it wouldn't have been possible without a star many once classed as an all-elite signing misstep. Number 5, Ted DiBiase Jr. At a glance, the decision to throw Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes into a unit alongside WWE's resident legend killer Randy Orton seemed like a surefire way to groom two potential stars of tomorrow into a pair of main event sensations. And while Rhodes would ultimately go on to deliver the goods much further down the road, the son of the legendary Ted DiBiase never quite caught fire in the way many assumed he would do. He absolutely looked the part, could hold his own in between the ropes, and was definitely growing more confident as a character on the mic before the aforementioned group's eventual split. However, when DiBiase Jr. was finally given some room to breathe as a solo act, WWE lazily attempted to simply make him the second coming of the $1 Million Man. As expected, that failed miserably. And on the back of doing very little of note in the years that would follow, DiBiase Jr. eventually decided enough was enough in 2013, turning down the chance to re-sign with the company after suffering from depression and anxiety. And just like that, a star many felt had all the makings of another second-generation top-level talent would never step in between the WWE ropes ever again. Number 4, John Cena. Throughout much of his time sitting at the top of the WWE mountain, it wasn't exactly uncommon to hear the deafening sound of thousands of fans reminding John Cena that he most definitely could not wrestle. And while it's fair to say that the vast majority of standard Cena encounters weren't exactly overflowing with code reds and springboard stunners, to class the face that runs the place as a performer who couldn't work in between the ropes was about as far from the truth as you could get. But feeling the need to prove those very much audible doubters wrong, the second big match John reclaimed the United States Championship at WrestleMania 31, Cena decided to take things up a notch. And it was that weekly US title open challenge that soon set the stage for some of the greatest Raw encounters of the 2010s. Simultaneously, a defiant Cena managed to both make the US title belt one of the most prestigious in the company and waved his hand at those infamous "you can't wrestle" chants. Number 3, KARRION Kross. Remember when a solid section of the fandom lost their damn minds over the terrible treatment of then undefeated NXT champion KARRION Kross upon making his rather underwhelming Monday Night Raw debut back in 2021? Well, if the star's second attempt at a main roster debut is anything to go by, all the spooky red lighting and fireballs in the world still wouldn't have saved the bringer of doomsday from the excruciating sound of apathy that first time around. Admittedly, the former black and gold monster's second stint in the big leagues likely hasn't been helped by the average fan taking one look at the floppy-haired nutjob and instantly remembering his disastrous run as the bondage Spartan on Monday nights. But those feeling that life under Papa H's guidance would at least bring with it something resembling a dominant return to form for Triple H's one-time NXT overlord have been left wondering why they bothered banging the drum for Big Bad KARRION in the first place. Now there's still time for the game to actually transform the Kross Scarlet duo into more than a pair of seriously mid-heels to be swatted away by whatever babyface needs a just about notable notch in the W column. Yet at this current moment, Kross's lackluster comeback can only be defined as forgettable at best. Number 2, The Acclaimed. 2022 saw The Acclaimed and DIBIASE become quite possibly the hottest group on the planet for a spell there. However, around 2 years earlier, as Tony Khan himself was quick to note in an exchange with a seemingly frustrated fan, pointing out how odd it was to see the Trustbusters pushed in the main event of Rampage, some fans weren't exactly doing backflips at the idea of the fresh young teen taking up a decent spot on Dynamite. Sticking with the loudmouth twosome over the next few years through injuries and rather foolish diss raps, TK refused to give up on the idea of Caster and Bowens being a set of genuine all-elite stars of the future. An organic connection with an audience that simply had no choice but to love The Acclaimed eventually became so hard to ignore that the AEW president had no choice but to hand the tag title ball to the cheeky duo over an FTR enjoying a career best 12 months. Tony clearly saw something special in the charismatic lads from day one, and he's now reaping the rewards for defying those who initially doubted the scissoring squad. Number 1, Kofi Kingston. There was never any question over how talented talented and entertaining the New Day's Kofi Kingston unquestionably was and had been throughout his sports entertainment run. Yet as the years rolled by, many felt that Kingston's time as a potential world champion for the company had come and gone, with the valiant babyface and equally hysterical heel never quite making that step up to main event level solo star. That all changed in the lead up to the 35th show of shows though, on the back of a substitute WWE Championship Elimination Chamber appearance that forced fans to unexpectedly believe. Kofi Mania soon spread across the land and made the concept of a Kofi main event battle with the despicable new Daniel Bryan too glorious to pass up on. Weeks of leaping and sometimes failing to overcome the obstacles sent his way finally led to Big E and Xavier Woods earning Kingston the Mania WWE title chance even his most passionate supporters assumed would never become a reality. But it did, and one of the most satisfying visuals in the event's history soon graced the grandest stage as the longtime bridesmaid finally lifted the big one under the brightest of lights. And that's our list. Know of any other wrestlers people were totally wrong about? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're at it. Also, if you like this kind of thing, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right this second is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Be kind to your good self today, and hopefully I will see your faces very, very soon. Bye bye!